Hi 2A, it's Mrs. Nance. Thank you guys so much for being patient today with the sub and trying to kind of have our own plans changed. I'm sure the sub has told you, whoever's covering you, I have a really sick daughter, and so mom has to stay home. And so I'm recording this to you from my creepy basement while my kids sleep. And we'll just kind of try to get through today. So if it hasn't been made clear already, the Living Like Weasels by Annie Dillard, we'll just move that to Wednesday. And so what we were going to do on Wednesday, we'll do today, and then we'll do our Socratic seminar on Wednesday. And so what we were going to do on Wednesday originally, which we're not doing today, is to talk about how to write body paragraphs. So obviously you've been working on introduction and annotating for Aravaipa Canyon in your groups and working on introduction paragraph. And my job now is to kind of give you a glimpse into how to write a body paragraph that would correspond to this prompt and this text. I want you to watch me write one in real life. You don't have to write it on your own if you don't want to. This link will live in Schoology in week 3, so you can see my sample body paragraph. You can see my notes on how to write a body paragraph. And I am going to ask you to do one of your own, but I'm not going to grade it, okay? I'm going to give you detailed feedback so that when we do write a full essay, you're not going to feel like, oh my gosh, all this pressure from having all these like, to me, this is practice, okay? You can show me your knowledge for a grade when it comes time to write an essay, but for now, I want you to write it and just kind of revel in the fact that I'm just going to give you feedback on it, okay? So that's what you're going to do once this video is over. I will get through it as fast as I can as far as going over the strategies, what to put in a body paragraph, and then a sample on the first part of the Aravaipa Canyon before I kind of let you go and try it on your own. Okay, so let's get started. I know that you all wrote stunning introductions that I will look at. And by the way, your introductions from the water bug, I will return to you also on Wednesday. I did put those in the grade book. They were really good overall, so I know it's not something we really need to hit too much harder. So looking at Aravaipa Canyon and the prompt, okay, we're supposed to actually characterize the attitude. So this is even less about purpose. It's more about tone, okay? Write an essay in which you characterize Abby's attitudes towards nature. What's his tone? What's his attitude towards nature, the subject of nature? And what choices is he making to convey those views? And analyze how, okay? And to me, that means what is he doing to convey those views? Okay, as I look at this, it's not terribly long, all right? It's about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs. I'm going to only want to write a 2 to 4 body paragraph essay, body paragraph. So I can either cut it in half, I can divide it by 3, I can divide it by 4. Typically, you should do where there are natural shifts in the text. So as I look at all the choices in the first part here, I might make my first body paragraph analyzing all the choices in these 2 paragraphs. And maybe my own second body paragraph is going to be paragraphs 3, 3, and 4. But then there's this shift to R. Buckminster Fuller, which kind of concludes the piece. And maybe I am going to just have a third and final body paragraph talking about these last 2 paragraphs. Okay, so we call this organizing by chronology, in which I'm going to isolate my own body paragraphs to talk about all the choices that are being made in this first section. And then my second body paragraph is going to isolate all the choices that are being made in this section and how they contribute to his attitude towards nature. And then the final paragraph that I'm going to write is going to isolate this final piece, these final 2 paragraphs, and the choices and rhetorical strategies that are being used there to convey that in this section. Okay, so we really just want to organize by chronology. What's happening in the beginning, what's happening in the middle, and what's happening at the end. What are all the choices in this middle part, this beginning part, this ending part that contribute to that that thesis? Okay, if you organize your paragraphs by strategy, like all the imagery, all the description, all the rhetorical questions, you're probably not going to be as developed, because typically writers use way more than just 3 strategies. So if we can isolate it by chronology, we can talk about a lot more strategies. It's more sophisticated, helps you get that sophistication point, and higher on the evidence and commentary aspect. Okay, so again, this link that I'm going to work on today will be in the Schoology Week 3 folder. I wrote an introduction. I'm going to give you some quick notes on body paragraphs, and then I'm going to write one in real time. Okay, here's my introduction. As a native of Colorado, I would like to think of my experiences in the mountains as serene, pastoral, and memorable. While I could capture them in my own journaling and writing, I'm not sure I could surpass the gravity of these moments like Edward Abbey does in his piece about Aravaipa Canyon in New Mexico. Written in 1982, in his book Down the River, Abbey captures the mythical, awe-inspiring quality of not only nature, but of specifically monumental places such as this. Okay, again, so I have to say what his attitude is, but I'm going to try to add my own thinking into that too. Try to make some interpretations, some sophisticated leaps. Through anecdote, imagery, syntax, and detail, Abbey reveals his attitude towards nature. Okay, again, I'm restating what's in the prompt, but then I'm going to add something to it and actually answer the prompt. What is his attitude? Abbey reveals his attitude towards nature. It is beautiful, wide, and can never be defined, thus making it all the more magical and reflective of what we should all revere in life or respect in life. Okay, so now everything that I do, every rhetorical strategy that I find in my sections has to tie back and prove this point, that this is his attitude towards nature. And I already feel confident that that's his attitude, so now it's up to me to explain to the unknowing reader how I know that, okay? So the best way I can tell you to do that is to, first of all, not think of body paragraphs as being crazy long, okay? Sometimes I like to think of them as just being 8 to 12 sentences, okay? You're going to talk first about what is the author doing? Are they telling a story? Are they using specific diction or detail? Are they using specific punctuation? Are they varying sentence length to make a point? Are they emphasizing an image more concretely than another? Are they listing? Are they repeating things? So what are they doing with an ing? Okay. And then the next part would be why. So I sometimes like to kind of start that with in an order too. Okay, and sometimes I think about to do what in this moment. Okay, then I need to talk about my evidence. Okay, we want to practice blending that in. Like we talked about last week. This is a place where you can name the strategy. You haven't done so already. And then what impact does this have on the, I want to say the thesis, but really the purpose, in this case it's the attitude towards nature. Okay, and then you're going to repeat this kind of 4-step process until you get through the rhetorical strategies. In that particular chunk. Okay. All right, so it seems kind of easy. Well, to me it does. Okay, but it's very logical. What is the author doing? Why is it important? Where's my evidence? And how does it go with whatever I said in my thesis? And that's why it's really important that you have a really strong, sophisticated thesis that you can connect a lot of ideas back to, okay? Especially when it's accurate, okay? So I'm going to do the first chunk with you and show you how this would look if you were writing a full essay on this prompt, okay? You have the prompt on the paper in front of you. And as I want to chunk this up, like I said, I think I'm probably going to do the first two together. I'm going to make that my first body paragraph where I talk about all the choices that are being made just in here. This is just one body paragraph. You can decide how you want to chunk it up as you continue to read, okay? So what is he doing in this? Hopefully you've annotated for this, but he's telling a story, right? He's providing an anecdote. He is narrating a story. He glimpsed a mountain lion in the canyon, following me through the twilight. It was the only mountain lion I'd ever seen. So far in the wild, I stopped. The big cat stopped. Okay, so I've got repetition of the word stopped. Short sentence, stopped. Okay, we peered at each other through the gloom. This is also reminding me of Living Like Weasels with Annie Dillard, right? They just kind of like almost get into each other's head for a second. Mutual curiosity. I felt more wonder than fear. That alone is telling me what his attitude is towards nature. He's filled with wonder. He's not afraid. It's beautiful to him. After a minute, perhaps it was 5, I made a move to turn. The lion leaped up into the rocks and melted away. Great verb there. Okay. We see no mountain lions this evening. He brings us to the present time. He also builds credibility and says that he comes back here often. Tonight, we don't see any. Okay. Nor any of the local deer, either Sonoran whitetail or the desert mule deer, although the little heart-shaped tracks of the former are apparent in the sand. Javelina or peccary, too, reside in this area, pig-like animals with tusk, oversized heads, and tapering bodies. Man, I've got a lot to work with here. I've got imagery, I've got description. He's obviously credible. He knows this canyon. He visits here often, okay? And so I've got a lot to talk about. So I'm just going to jump right in. So here would be my first body paragraph to go with this prompt. As Abby begins his, I'm going to call it an essay. We know it's from a book, but I'm going to pretend it's an essay. As Abby begins his essay, he tells a story about a time he witnessed a mountain lion approach him. And it was not scary. Rather, it filled him with, quote, wonder. Notice that I'm not citing my quotes. I don't need to cite them. I need to put punctuation marks around them, but since we know it's all coming from the same piece, we don't have to reference it. Okay, that's a funny little trick that College Board says is not necessary. Okay, so I'm already tucking in quotes as much as I can, tucking in evidence. Okay, I'm already kind of not following this. Okay, but I'm trying to do what's natural. I'll get back to it though. Here's what he's doing and why. He does this in order to capture his time spent in the canyon. He comes here often and has many stories to tell. On that one evening, the two filled one another with, quote, mutual curiosity before the lion melted away. His vivid verb usage and description help the reader be with him in that moment and know, like him, that these times are not to be feared but memorialized instead as an example of how awe-inspiring all of nature is. Okay, so here's what I've done. If I were to color code what I asked you to do, I'm going to do it with you. Okay, here's how that looks in my body paragraph so far. Okay, he tells a story. That's what he's doing. Okay, I'm going to jump over my order a little bit right there. But he does this in order to capture his time he spends in the canyon. Why is he doing that? To do this. He comes here often and has many stories to tell. So these can be split into multiple sentences. On that evening, the two filled each other with mutual curiosity before the lion melted away. This is where I stick in some evidence. This is where I stick in some naming of the strategies. And then I kind of move towards purpose. Okay. All right, so that was me doing the first paragraph. Okay, now I need to get on to this one, but it's still in the same body paragraph as mine, but I need to get on to what he's doing in this paragraph. Okay, so I'm not breaking paragraph, I'm just going to continue. I'm going to say, as he continues, I'm going to unbold this or unhighlight that. As he continues, Abby brings us to the present. Okay, so as he continues, Abby brings us to the present, in which he lists, that's what he's doing, the features of this particular experience instead. Tonight, though no mountain lions are to be seen, there are other wonders to behold. He details, okay, this is, he details what else he sees. He details the heart-shaped tracks of the javelina and describes the pig-like animals, oversized heads and tapering bodies. Let's go ahead and copy that in. It's not being friendly. That's not being nice. Okay, that's fine. Pig-like animals with tusks. Oversized heads and tapering bodies. To document, in order to, I'll put that in there, in order to document the ever-changing, ever-mystical wonders of this magical place. In doing so, Abby reveals that no matter what night he goes to the canyon, will be filled with a new experience that is unique and never to be the same again. He describes the canyon as a place that is full of life, full of life. It is beautiful, leaving readers with a sense of respect and calm respite as we read about his many ventures to this wondrous place. It is his language and list of facts about the life there. Playful of the so-called dangerous species. He hopes to encourage his audience to appreciate and respect nature as he does, as evidenced by the beauty of Aravaipa Canyon. Okay. All right, so this is my first body paragraph. I'm doing this with you in real time. This entire video has taken 20 minutes, but the actual writing of the paragraph and toggling back and forth has really only taken me about 10, and this would be the first chunk. Then you'll have to repeat it for the next 2 chunks that you would have in this essay, okay? So that's your task. You're going to pick the next chunk, okay? You can make it the next 2 paragraphs, the next 3 paragraphs, the next 1 paragraph, probably not 1 because that next one is super short. Next 2 or 3. And I want you to write that and let me read it for feedback. If you want to type it and share it with me, Nance, you can, or you can write it by hand since you'll have to do that on the AP exam. And we already want to get ready for that. Do that, turn it into the sub, and I will give you some feedback, okay? So very quickly here, I just want to kind of color code this like I did the first half of it, so you can see kind of how my notes kind of translate to actual writing, and then try to, again, copy that for the next part, now that you're kind of getting this sense of what this piece is really about, even though I know you talked about it and have been working on it all class, okay? Okay, Abby brings us to the present in which he lists the features of this particular experience instead. I think I'll code that all in red. Tonight, though no mountain lions are to be seen, there are other wonders to behold. He details, okay, that's actually the strategy, so I'll put that in yellow. That's my yellow color. The heart-shaped tracks of the javelina. And describes the pig-like animals. That's all yellow. So I'm actually, again, kind of going out of order from the notes I gave you, but I do want you to see that it's kind of a fluid process. Sometimes it works out, and sometimes you kind of have to flip it. Okay, whatever makes sense to you as a writer. And I do get that in order to phrase in there to talk about why he would do that in that moment. How does that just in this moment contribute to the purpose? Okay. In doing so, here's the connection to purpose. Abby reveals that no matter what night he goes to the canyon, he'll be filled with a new experience that is unique and never to be the same again. Okay, so I'm kind of connecting back to my purpose, or the attitude. Okay, next, he describes the canyon. Okay, that's what he's doing. As a place that is full of life as it is beautiful. Leaving readers with a sense of respect. This could kind of be orange. About why he's doing it in this place. So I actually am kind of flipping it. It's not always like this, just sometimes it's tonight as I'm writing it. It is his language and lists of facts. It's a strategy. About the life here, the playfulness of the so-called dangerous species. He hopes to encourage his audience to appreciate and respect nature as he does. So I'm moving to purpose, but they are closely related to his attitude. Okay, it's just going to bother me. Okay, so I have the notes here. They look all nice and neat in a rainbow color as I give you the notes. But then when I actually go to write, just naturally, sometimes the yellow comes before the orange, okay? But they're all kind of in there, and they're pretty closely related. So I would encourage you to look over this, look at this link, and then try to copy it on your own. If you want to write yours below this on the next section. Just make a copy of this, okay? Just make a copy of this Google Doc on Schoology, and then name it, and then you can write your next paragraph below it so that it's right there next to you, okay? Or try it by hand, and you can turn that into the sub. I apologize for the long video. I know it's super long, but thank you for staying with me. Thank you for being okay-ish with me being gone. It's hard to be gone in the first few weeks of class because we have so much to get through and so much content to cover. So I'll avoid this as much as possible. Good luck. Email me with questions. I'll be working on your grades today, and we'll be in touch. Hopefully I'll see you Wednesday. Thanks, guys.